Okay, good morning. We're going to go ahead and get started. Hi, I'm Lindsay. I'm your program chair. We're excited to start our season of calendar events for LMTA with Amy Holloman, who's the LPS music supervisor. Just got started a few months ago, right? So she's going to give us an update on all things happening at Lincoln Public Schools this morning, which is exciting. And then we do have our business meeting. So I'll let you jump right in, Amy.
Just waiting. There we go. Okay, thank you very much. That's okay.
There we go. More for online than in here.
No problem. How's this? Good. Very good. So I'd love to start by introducing myself. I am Amy Holloman, new supervisor of music for Lincoln Public Schools. I came into my job on June 1st this year. So I have a full 3 months under my belt and a lot to learn. And I'm surrounding myself with a lot of people that I like to say are wiser than I am, because that's how we learn the best, right? And asking lots of questions. So I wanted to start by sharing a little bit about myself. I know that I am a new face to many of you, but there are also some familiar faces here as well, which it just feels like home being back in music. So my last 4 years I spent as an administrator in Lincoln Public Schools at Calvert Elementary. As a coordinator, I learned a lot about organizational systems, behaviors, supports for intervention through multi-tiered systems of support for academics and behavior. I worked through school improvement and then a lot of community building activities as well. It was amazing to get into classrooms and to learn more about instruction outside of music and to see all the parallels and how items work cross-curricularly and how we support other academics and how they also support music. So I love to share a few pictures of exciting things that we did, and I'm limited to what I can share of student photos. However, some of the things that I was excited to be a part of was organizing School is Cool, where we brought Nebraska athletes in to come and work with students to talk about the importance of being involved in school, athletics, and activities, of which our football players had shared their lives in music as well and how that was helpful for them. And I just have to tell you, I loved being in classrooms and looking at that instruction and the entomology unit on baby chicks. Fantastic. So exciting and so just heartwarming. And of course, you know, community building and surviving Zoom, a year of instruction on Zoom. Oh my goodness. We continued our instruction in Lincoln Public Schools in all curricular areas, including music. That was no easy feat. And so a shout out to all of our music teachers, both private teachers and public school teachers who kept that learning going even during our school closures. Prior to being a coordinator at Calvert Elementary, I spent 11 years as a music itinerant. During that time, I served as a PLC facilitator, professional learning community, and worked on curriculum development. I planned several large-scale events, including 6th grade All-City, where we bring every 6th grade instrumental music student together for a very different type of ensemble experience, where we have some students whose orchestras or bands are very small, some of them 15 to 20 students. And so when we bring them together, they get to play in an ensemble of almost 100 plus students. And then we combine the orchestra and band group together for some larger ensembles music. And it's just such an amazing collaborative experience. Plus, we get to have some vertical alignment with our high school students who come in and they get to play and perform alongside and for our elementary school students. I am a bass player. That is my main instrument. So I have been an exciting member of the UNL Bass Day since its inception. And I do run a private studio, of which now is much smaller. And I regret to say I am not taking on any new students at this time. But it has really been a pleasure to be a private teacher as well, and understanding the inner workings of what it means to maintain a private studio and still be able to provide those services and continue extended learning opportunities for students who are both performing above expectations of where we would expect a student their age to perform, and students who also need that additional assistance and additional scaffolding to help bring them to the level that they can be successful in some of their public school programs. I'm also a member of the Hastings Symphony, which I have loved serving in that capacity for the last 15 years, and was excited to play alongside Alita Collier for the time that we were together. So that's, I think that it's important that even as teachers, we continue to be a part of our professional organizations and playing. I graduated from the University of Lincoln for my Master's of Education and my undergraduate in education for music. And then I also have my additional endorsement through administrative certification. But most importantly, why I'm here and where my philosophy started for exponential growth for students in music is with my family. So what I have here is a picture of me and my grandparents. And they are the ones who really instilled the love of music for me. And when I was a child, my parents literally, when school was out, within a week, we were shipped off and we went and lived with my grandparents for the summer. Now, I thought this was a normal thing and everybody did this, right? I learned as an adult that that is not necessarily what everybody does, right? But what's amazing is what I did when I was with my grandparents. So even when I was just barely big enough to hold an instrument, they would pull something out from underneath the bed, okay, because they were avid instrument collectors and lovers, and they would say, here's a fiddle, and I could pick from 5 or 6 different violins that were underneath the bed. They'd tune them up, right? My younger sister would be handed a guitar that was way too large for her. So here I am with the violin on my shoulder, and I'm like this, right? Because it is so big on me. And my grandfather would sing fiddle tunes to us, and I would have to play them back. Now, his vocal range, have you mind, was not as large as what he thought it was. So when he would sing to me, he would have the vocal range of a 4th or a 5th, and I'd play back to him what he sang, and he'd say, that's not right. Let me sing it again. You gotta listen. And then he'd sing the exact same thing, and I would have to fish around and find those notes. So as a child, I became really good at learning how to play by ear. But at the same time, when I got into elementary school and middle school and it came time to read music, I probably was not my teacher's favorite student, because I would watch everybody next to me and memorize what they were playing, and that is how I learned to play my instrument until I was in middle school. And when I learned how to play the bass, I actually had to switch and learn bass clef so I could be successful. But my grandparents are an avid part of where I am today. We had late nights of playing music until 1:30 in the morning with family friends. They'd assemble a band. And when my grandparents would move, we would basically all move with them. This is a photo of my family. These are all of my cousins and some of my second cousins. My grandparents have had such an impact on them as well. And then my sisters, I'm very excited to say that I'm the first person in my family to graduate from college. And my younger sister is now an English teacher and also had considered a career in music education as a clarinetist and a former drum major at her school. So music has really played a very important life. And of course, my parents, of whom neither are musical. My dad plays the dashboard drums really well. And my mom loves to sing along, and she actually does a really great job of matching pitch and singing and has a lovely singing voice. But my parents have been absolute supporters of music, not just for me, but also for schools and for other students, including making donations, making sure that students have instruments. So although they are not formally trained musicians themselves, they have been a huge supporter of music and the importance. And my husband and my in-laws, what is incredible, every single person in this family plays a musical instrument. So I come from a family where I learned informally with my grandparents. And when I go visit my in-laws at Christmas, I literally feel like I am living in the sound of music. It's incredible. And they are all, many of them, music teachers as well in Kansas, Topeka, Kansas. So in in LPS, our motto is all means all. All means all. That is the new district catchphrase that we are using, and it is all part of our push for equitable experience for students in all curricular areas. Last year, I believe it was, that we came out with the LPS equitable outcomes, and we are looking to support graduation rate among students. We are looking at honors course enrollment and advanced opportunities for students in all curricular areas. We are looking to improve positive behavior, and of course, we're also looking to diversify our staff so that our students are learning instrumental music from people who look like them, because not all of our students are Caucasian. We have a really diverse population in Lincoln Public Schools, including refugees, including students who are here trying to, escape some of the challenging things that are going in the world, or maybe they are moving for better opportunities to be closer to families. There are many different reasons that we have students from various countries. I believe that at one point we had 43 languages in Lincoln Public Schools. I don't know if that is still accurate, but we have got a wide variety of cultures and ethnicities that we are celebrating in our buildings. So why is this important? Because we are looking at equity for students in every single curricular area. As a member of the Curriculum, Instruction, and Assessment Department in music, we are looking at ways to take that umbrella of equity and make sure that that is distributed in every area. And so for music, we are asking, where are we going with this? What is our plan? We have a new music supervisor. We have all of this new leadership in LPS. My predecessor did a great job of guiding and leading our teachers to come up with long-term plans. So I want to take those ideas that our teachers came up with before I came into Lincoln Public Schools and make those come to fruition. And we can divide those ideas into 4 basic categories under the lens of equity: student access, facilities and resources, collaborative partnerships, and instruction and professional development. So this morning, I'm going to share with you a little bit about what we have already started doing this year to work to support these 4 main ideas, as well as some of the ideas that we have as we are moving forward. I know that not all of these things are going to happen in just 1 year. We're looking at long term. So I'm excited to start, though, with talking about student access. So some of the things that we are looking at, again, are some of those extended opportunities. We're looking at honors groups. We're looking at supports for students outside the school day who may not otherwise be able to afford private lessons. I know that we have partnered with Tri-M in coming in and giving some additional support after school. I'm also super excited to talk with you folks and here at your business meeting a little bit more to see how you might be able to help support our students as well. I'm looking to remove some of the barriers for our students and families. And really what I'm thinking about there is the socioeconomic status of a lot of our families who are under free and reduced lunch status. We know that trying to get that private instruction can be a challenge. And we know that finances can be a barrier. That's also a barrier to students being able to audition and apply for some of our honors groups. And that's a huge problem. We want equitable experiences for all of our students to be able to participate in honors groups such as Nebraska All-State, band, orchestra, choir, middle school, choir and orchestra, right? Our Lincoln Children's Choir, all of these things that require entry fees, we want to try and help reduce that barrier. And we do have a system that is set up that is really functioning well at our high school level. And actually, this week, just on Monday, I had a conversation with our activities council regarding what are some ideas for how we can support some of our younger students in the middle school and the elementary school levels, because we want to provide them with the same opportunities to participate in those honors groups. We know that it can be a challenge because sometimes if there's a public school group, that music teacher has to attend with those students at the conference for those students to be a part of it. That's something that we're working through, something that we are submitting to some of our organizations to consider how we can maneuver this, because in a district with 70 plus buildings, having all of our music teachers out for professional development and to support our students at these conferences just is not something that we are able to support, because that's taking more than 70 staff. We have about 141. That would be taking 141 of our music teachers out of our buildings and trying to find substitute teachers to fill those positions so our teachers can attend a conference. So those are some of the things we're looking at and thinking, okay, how can we make this possible? And those are some of the inner workings that I am working on. And I have taken that feedback from our private teachers, from our teachers, from other administrators at the district, and from our community members as well. So we are also we have started expanding the musical artists that we have coming in and working with our students of diverse backgrounds so that we can extend some of those curriculum experiences. Daniel Martinez we have been blessed with a grant from the Nebraska Arts Foundation, and he is our artist in residence for 5 years. And so we started last year. He gets to do 10 schools a year, and he goes in, and with general music, he goes in as a part of the curriculum, and he talks to them about culture and music and instrumentation and the various experiences and styles of music that he comes from as a Peruvian instrumentalist. The students get a chance to create and perform as a part of this, using some of those various instruments, supporting the different type of music that is Peruvian music and South American music. And then we bring the kids together. Some of the buildings are doing full assemblies. Some of them are doing with just some limited grade levels, but they're coming together and they're getting a concert from Daniel Martinez and his band, and the kids get to be an interactive part of that. Singing, dancing, performing. And so it's one large cultural experience. It is just amazing and beautiful. And we are truly blessed in Lincoln Public Schools to be able to offer this opportunity to our schools. Daniel has been in some of our middle schools as well, operating under the same format. But we're looking at ways that we can still extend more of these styles of opportunities to all of our students and all of our buildings, being such a big district of over 70 schools. So in regards to teacher planning, part of what we are doing this year is we are meeting with teachers and we're saying, what are some of your ideas? What do you want? What do you desire? What do you wish you had more of? Okay? And the feedback that we're getting in the area of student access is we want more various instruments for our students. We want more tubanos. We want more guitarrones, right? Providing recorders for students, because I'll be honest, we teach recorders and ukuleles in our schools, but it doesn't mean that every single school has a full set of ukuleles or an expansive enough collection of recorders that all of our 3rd through 5th graders can use them at the same time. So we're having to structure and balance what we are doing with our curriculum when we are teaching, what that alignment looks like both vertically and horizontally across buildings so that we have those materials available for students. So expanding that instrumentation that's available, the variety of instrumentation. Our teachers have had some really great ideas on local artists that we can bring in as a part of the Flyover Festival, where we celebrate various cultures and folks that are here from other countries that are bringing the gift of their culture and music to Lincoln. That's incredible. So we're looking at ways that we can collaborate and partner with them as well. In the area of instruction and professional development, we are really looking closely at our curriculum this year. My counterpart, Judy Bush, who I am sure most of you know, she is just fantastic, and she has done extensive research on the local, the state, and the national level in regards to curriculum and music education in both planning and advocacy. Worked with Dr. Glenn Neerman regarding how we determine what is the most essential, important things that we are teaching our students as a part of public school education. And you know, one of the things that we found is that people are thinking, well, it's really essential that by the end of 4th grade, our string players are able to show the finger pattern for D major scale on a violin. But is that really the most essential thing? we thought about this, and we thought, okay, these are important. These are concepts that we're teaching, but what are we really teaching? So what we did is, I should not say we, Judy, Dr. Nealman, and a collection of others, what they did is they were able to really pare down what is the most important, essential things in music that we should be teaching. And they came up with what we are calling the elements of music. And these are the things that we are teaching that can be universal elements across every music curricular area from grades K through 12 and beyond, right? So we've got our tone, melody and harmony, rhythm, texture, timbre, form, expression, and playing or singing technique. And this is what we are using as we evaluate and consider what revisions we need to make to our curriculum to be aligned with the state standards of Create, Perform, Respond and our national standards as well. And we are asking ourselves, okay, based on these elements of music, what is the most essential learning outcome that we want all students to know at the end of a course of study? So, for an example, at the middle school level, they might be enrolled in a course that's a quarter or a semester. What is the most essential thing that we want these students to know at the end of a course or a quarter? And for some of our courses of study, it might be a semester or even a year long. We might say, what do I want every single second grade student to be able to do by the time they are done with second grade general music? We call those essential learning outcomes ELOs at LPS. And ELOs are phrased in a way of students will be able to, and then we list that out. And we connect it to the elements of music, and we say how they're going to do it and how we're going to measure it. But what we're doing is we are right now working to pare down to say what are just the most essential things. Because we can talk about all of the various things that we are teaching in elementary school general music. We're teaching, traditional counting. We're teaching the difference between various notes of eighth notes, quarter notes, 16th notes, dotted rhythms, syncopation. We're teaching about the various instruments in the orchestra. We cover so many things. So we are really trying to pare it down to we cover all of these things, and they're all important. But what are the three most essential things that we want every single student to do, and every single teacher in the district is going to teach that? So we are aligning the practices both horizontally across buildings to improve equity, but then also we're looking at that vertically, so we make sure that when students are transitioning from elementary to middle or from middle school to high school, that they are still continuing their learning through spiral-based curriculum. So everybody should be coming in with the same foundational skills. So I was just talking about that vertical and horizontal alignment, right? We are giving our teachers opportunities now to get together, not just with other teachers of similar content areas, which we have been doing in LPS, but we're making a greater effort to make that vertical alignment happen also, so that we can have elementary school, middle school, and high school teachers all together so that they can talk about what learning looks like in their building, what their expectations are, and what they need to be prepared for at the next level. Our middle school and high school teachers are saying, this is what I teach, and I thought that our students would come in being able to do this, but they are here, or they are here. And so we're looking at what can we do to close that achievement gap so that we can try and ensure that our students are all making those transitions to the next building level with similar skills. Now, we know that there are learning gaps. That's natural. That's going to happen. That's what scaffolding is for, and spiral-based curriculum, so we can go back and reteach some of those skills. But we are really wanting to universalize some of those main essential learning outcomes to try and help with that fidelity and continuation of instructions. We are also looking at pedagogy. What are some of the things that our teachers need consistent professional learning on throughout the course of the year? Now, we have lots of new teachers. We also have veteran teachers who know what works for them, but it's always great to think about how can I grow. Every year in Lincoln Public Schools, the teachers talk about what their goals are going to be for the year. How am I going to grow professionally? How am I going to grow as a teacher? What am I going to do that's going to make an impact for my students? The whole purpose is exponential growth. We should believe in that for ourselves. We should believe in that for others and for our students. The beautiful thing about music that I share with others, I could learn a new piece of music every single day and still not learn it all. That is incredible. Something different every single day for the rest of my life, lifelong learning, and I will never have everything mastered. There will be different finger combinations. There will be different intervals that are challenging in different successions, right? There's new music being created every single day. That is exponential. Our growth as musicians is exponential. And we need to instill that in our teachers, but look at some of those skills that we are using that need review on, a biannual or a triannual basis, such as refining our conducting skills, right? We may need to have courses on vocal development, the changing voice for students, right? Men singing falsetto for our elementary school students. That's also so important to sing in the vocal range that our students are singing in so that they can learn to match pitch and characteristic timbre of what we expect as a vocalist, right? We need to bring in some of our professionals from our own community that can come in and talk about woodwind specialist techniques for our elementary, middle, and high school teachers. Percussion specialists that can come in and talk about the various ways to appropriately use percussion and get the best tone out of the variety of percussive instruments that we have, right? And we also need professional development for our teachers that are teaching strings. Continued ideas on how to develop vibrato, bow placement, bow weight, bow speed. How do we use those things and how do we teach those things in a public school when you have an orchestra of 60 students at the high school level? How do you teach kids vibrato in a group of 60, right? That's a lot. And additionally, for our teachers who are teaching outside of their comfort zone and content area, bless them, they are truly, in my opinion, embracing the title of music teacher. We are all music teachers, but I think sometimes we identify as specialists. I was a strings specialist, but I am first a music teacher. And some of our teachers, as I mentioned, are teaching outside of those content areas. We have folks that are saxophone players that are teaching our string students, and they are a strings specialist for Lincoln Public Schools, and they have a passion, and they are wanting professional development, and they are wanting to do what is best for their kids. So we need to continue to provide that professional learning for some of those teachers too. So we are just looking at all the different things that we need to put on a rotation for our teachers to help them continue growing, continue learning, and continue in their process of helping students with their growth. Facilities and resources. This is something that really is more on the backside. So our teachers have ideas, they have wish lists, they have things that they would like to see, but the reality is this is not necessarily something that our teachers have a whole lot of impact on. This is more behind the scenes. Things that I can do, things that my counterpart Judy Bush can help me with, things that I am working on with facilities, maintenance, operations in Lincoln Public Schools. There's a lot. But this is not necessarily teacher-driven. This is more administratively driven. So one of the things that I am currently working on right now is going through classrooms and just kind of getting an assessment of, in the space you are currently in, what do you love? What do you desire? What would be helpful? Our goal would be for every single teacher to have their own music room in every single school. The reality, Lincoln Public Schools is very quickly growing, and we have schools that are busting at the seams. We have larger class sizes, we have portables where we're serving instruction, not just for music, but also for our general education classrooms as well. Space is an issue. So we are having to find creative ways to provide the best instruction we can for our students, whether that be in a designated room with a door, or perhaps it's in a portable, or perhaps it's on the stage in the cafeteria. How do we protect that space? And what do we do to try and improve the sound quality and the acoustics so that our students can get the best possible experience given the space that they're in? Now, my personal desire is to see every single music teacher in a room, even if it is a shared space with someone else. That's not going to be taken care of in a year. That's a long-term plan, but that's something that I would personally love to see, and I'm working with some of our building principals on ways to already improve some of those spaces for our students. I've just this year even have worked on getting sound panels installed to help improve the acoustics of a room. I have worked on lighting in a space and had to find some creative ideas because it just was not feasible to be able to install a lot of additional lighting on a stage area that was already dark. But we have come up with some other creative solutions so that we can increase the lighting for students for visibility and also for teachers so that they can monitor students and instruction, because that's equally as important as being able to see our kids, right? So we need adequate lighting in those spaces. I have also worked with some of our principals to ensure that our teachers have a place where they can go and have plan time that is protected. Because if your teaching space is on a stage in a cafeteria, that's where your desk is. And your plan time might be before school when students are having breakfast. We've got some clinking of dishes, and all of this stuff is important. We have got to feed our kids. They have to be fed. They have to have breakfast so that they can focus and so that they are ready for their school day in every single area. But when we are using that shared space, and that's a planning space for a teacher, it can be tricky to focus and get the maximum use of your time that should be used in planning for our students and figuring out what instruction they need and getting materials prepped and ready for them. That's just something we need to have happen for every single teacher, that protected plan time and a dedicated space where they can focus. So we've already been working on several things to improve our classrooms. I also helped in helping to find a space in a building where we knew that a teacher was going to have to be displaced because of having to add an additional classroom for a grade level. And literally, there was not a classroom space. So I went in and spent about a half a day in the building with the building principal and the teachers. And we came up with some creative solutions so that we could guarantee that there was a suitable place to be teaching some of these lessons for students, and talked about how that space would be shared and what sorts of things we needed to bring in or change in order to make that space suitable for music instruction. Additionally, we are looking at inventory. And, you know, when I first started thinking about this, I'm thinking inventory. Don't we all just keep track of everything we have anyways? But we have ideas of what we have, but what's more important is considering with the items we have, what kind of condition are they in? What kind of shape are they in? What do they look like? Are they suitable to be checked out? Do they need repairs, right? We have some instruments that have been in our system for decades, and they've had repadding, they've had chemical baths, they've had, perhaps if it's a wooden instrument, open seams repaired several times. If that instrument is still in great playing position, awesome. Let's check it out. Let's get it in the hands of kids. But we have several instruments that are still just sitting around because they need repair, but there hasn't been a budget for it. Because we all know that money is kind of a driving force for what we have for our materials. So I'm thinking, looking at our inventory, making sure that those things are updated so that we know not just what student or what buildings have, but additionally, what do those instruments need? Do you need repair? Do you need replacement of instruments that have just worn out? We need to know the condition and the shape of these instruments so that we can make a plan for replacement or replacement or repair or replenishing. And then also, I'd like to use our instrument inventory in the future from an equity standpoint to ensure that all of our buildings have a reasonable number of a variety of instruments to meet the needs. So for an example, having a school that has 20 violins, 2 violas, no cellos or basses, that's not really equitable. When I have another building that has 6 violins, 3 violas, 3 cellos, and a bass, they have all the instrumentation for a string orchestra. Maybe it's not enough, but they have it. I want to make sure that our schools have the variety of instruments that we need to be able to complete ensembles. I want to ensure that we have a way to replenish the stock of recorders that just after years of use, right, that they just need to be refreshed and replaced, right? Let's be real. After years of use with recorders, we have the bite marks, right? I'm going to be honest, you guys. I think that getting a recorder that's been played and has those bite marks in there, it's like pulling a pencil out of the community box with teeth marks all over it, right? I don't really want to write with that pencil. I don't know that our kids really want to play on a recorder that has their neighbor's bite marks on them from last year, right? No, we do sanitize those, okay? I promise, we do sanitize those, all right? But I mean, we need to be thinking about these things and including our recorders in our inventory and all of the little shakers and things that our general music folks have, because we want to make sure that every single school has access to the instruments that are needed to be able to have a successful music program. Not just instrumental, but we're also talking about general music too. And that also includes opportunities for some of our other courses, such as world drumming, unified music for our special education students, access to keyboards at our secondary schools for piano study. I mean, there's a lot that goes into it. And yeah, I'm talking about a big budget, but I'm also talking about how can we use the budget that we have to look at our inventory and make those decisions so that we have equity in our instrumentation across our buildings for students. In regards to staffing, we have a lot of great things going on. We've got great programs, but our staffing is also getting stretched thin. Don't know if you've read the paper lately, but I think there's been a shortage of teachers, right? We've had a shortage of teachers everywhere. And what that means is we are having to absorb students and have bigger class sizes. When we have the bigger class sizes, that directly impacts the efficiency of instruction that our students receive and the individual opportunities for feedback, which we know in music is so important to provide that individual feedback for students. So important. But when you have one instructor with an ensemble, depending on the age of the students, okay, depending on your teaching situation and how much physical space you have to roam. I mean, here I have these rows set up and I could come back and I could adjust a student's posture, right? Or I could come over and I could say, oh, you're doing such a great job. Or I might say, hey, when you have a minute, can you go spit your gum out for me, please? Right? Okay, whatever that might be, okay? Thanks for being my volunteer, Miss Wanda, okay? But giving that direct feedback to students is so important. And you know, you can go and you can do that really quickly and efficiently, but you have to have the space to be able to move among your ensemble to do that, right? But additionally, with some of these large classes, we're having some of these large classes, and in an attempt to decrease the student size, maybe in some of our lessons that we use for our itinerant teachers, where we have students of ideally 4 to 6, some of our buildings are looking at class sizes of 8 to 10 plus in a 30-minute lesson. Now, what we are doing to try and remedy that is our teachers are saying, I want what's best for students, and I love that, but I want teachers to take care of themselves too, and that plan time is important. But they're taking some of that plan time and they are using that to decrease their lesson group sizes so that we can make sure students are getting the best possible instruction that they can even get. And that just tells you how big the hearts are of our teachers. They're willing to give that plan time and take it sometime else in their evenings or after school or maybe coming in an hour beforehand, and they're finding other times to be able to do that so that they can decrease those lesson group sizes for their kids. Huge hearts. But I'm already in the process of working on what can we do for our staff so that we can help balance some of those sizes. We can guarantee that they're getting that very much needed plan time, right? And again, that's something that has to come from an administrative level. Now, with that being said, if anybody has a certificate in teaching, give me a call, okay? I know we'll be looking for teachers. All right, because I'll be looking to try and expand the number of staff that we're hiring for LPS. If you have children or grandchildren or neighbors or friends or folks at church that you can kind of give them a little nudge and bump them into music education, do that, would ya? We need more teachers. So, event and safety planning. Oh, this has been so exciting for me. So one of the things that we did as a district is we paired with an outside agency to come in and teach our athletic department and activities, which music was our activity involved in this, but we partnered with them to talk about the safety planning for large-scale events, emergency evacuation procedures, and what we can do just in general for any kind of a disaster, from tornadic activity to if we had somebody who discharged a gun at an event. What do we do with that? That's not typically something we have to worry about at a marching band festival or a show choir event, right? But it is now. These are things that we are thinking about, because if we are proactive, we don't have to be reactive. So as a part of this training, which was new for us this year, myself and my counterpoint, Judy Bush, we went and we attended this couple-day training, and we looked at what sorts of things we need to put into place. What materials do we need? Do we need more safety cones to block off spaces for patron walking space, right? Or to block off appropriate parking or rehearsal space for outdoor events? We actually literally, you see here from this picture, we walked through several campuses to look at and determine what would be the best safety and evacuation route if you were hosting a music event or an athletic event at this venue. And we looked at that and we made lists of what do we need for this venue to be successful if we have to evacuate people for any reason whatsoever, right? And we're looking at this not just for the safety of our students, but the safety of our community, the safety of our teachers, right? Because safety directly impacts our instruction. It's so important. And I've just been really excited to be a part of this new safety initiative. Collaborative partnerships. This is Judy Bush, for those of you who don't know her, my counterpoint, and just an amazing colleague and mentor. And I include her because I have done so much collaborating with her already this year, because her knowledge and experience it stretches far and wide. And as I mentioned, I try to surround myself with people who are more wise than I am, people who can teach me. Again, I have that philosophy of exponential growth. I can learn more every day, but I've got to find the people to surround myself who can teach me more. The collaborative partnerships that we are looking at with Lincoln Public Schools varies from collegiate to local to nationwide, and we are doing a lot of partnership with our local colleges to try and increase the number of student teachers and practicum students that we have coming to Lincoln Public Schools. If we can increase the students that are coming to Lincoln Public Schools from our universities and colleges, we are more likely to get them to come and teach with us, right? We want those good teachers. We want those teachers who are excited, who have new ideas, who are full of spark. We want them to come in and join our team and be a part of a flagship district for the state of Nebraska. So I actually have been meeting with several of the professors and whatnot at various local colleges, talking about what can we do to strengthen this partnership so that we can try and expand the number of their students that we are hosting in Lincoln Public Schools. We also have various partnerships with several local sponsorships, business partners. And up here we've got it's hard. There's so many variety of things that I could talk about here. We partner with Lincoln Symphony Orchestra for a variety of things. We do side-by-side for our honor orchestras. They also partner with Carnegie Hall with a program that we provide to our students as part of the Young People's Concert, right? And that's incredible because Carnegie Hall has this program and they put together this curriculum which we get to work with in partnership with Lincoln Symphony Orchestra. And then we present it to every single fourth grader in Lincoln Public Schools. We bring all of them to the Lead Center to experience that event. And they get to create, they get to perform, they get to respond to music, they get to play along with their recorders, they get to sing along. It's beautiful. It's incredible. And that partnership is made possible through Lincoln Symphony Orchestra, grants through the Lincoln Arts Center, collaboration with the Lead Performing Arts. Arts Incorporated is a great sponsor for many of our things that we have going on in Lincoln Public Schools, and they also supply performance opportunities that we can bring into schools, right? And we also have the Metropolitan Opera. We do a program called Live at the Met that we offer for our schools, where we can go to the Ross Center, the Ross Theater, and our students can come and they can watch the Met live in HD on the screen. That's incredible. We get to bring that large-scale, professional level of performance to our kids in Lincoln Public Schools, in Lincoln, Nebraska, and we are getting to experience what's going on in New York. And additionally, we have curriculum that supports that so that we can teach it, and then we provide those tickets to our students free of cost. The Metropolitan Opera feels so passionately about this that they design the curriculum. They fly one of our teachers to New York to get the curriculum, to learn about it, how to present it, how to connect it. And they do all of this at a free of service charge. Just incredible. We've got several local departments within Lincoln Public Schools that the music department is collaborating with already. The Foundation for Lincoln Public Schools, we use the foundation to help fund and support projects that we otherwise might not have the finances to be able to do. Oftentimes we have teachers that fill out something called a fund a need if they have something really specific. For an example, I know that Northwest needs a bari sax. So I'm working with their teacher next Wednesday on creating a fund a need so that they can purchase that $5,000 bari sax. It's expensive. But with fund a need, anybody in our local community can go on there and they can select the projects that they want to support, and they can make a free will donation, and with a collaborative effort, we can try and help support some of those additional things that our teachers would like to see. I mentioned earlier that we're partnering with our security and operations. We have our standard response protocol. That's basically how we determine our sheltering, evacuation, relocation, and is part of that safety and protocol response that I was sharing earlier. And our special education department. This is a brand new collaboration that we just started within about the last month and a half. We are working to ensure that when we have unified music courses, those are courses for our students with some of our highest needs, right, in special education, that we are bringing them a curriculum that supports their developmental needs, their individualized education plan, IEP, while infusing those elements of music so they still get that musical study. And even greater than that, with a unified course, we have our peer leaders in there. So our students are side by side getting the same experience with their neurotypical same age peers. And that's a part of Rule 51, free and public education, that's expected for all students who are identified with a disability under the Americans with Disability Act, ADA. One other exciting thing I have to tell you about in regards to special education, I had a teacher, a counselor, contact me from Connecticut last week and said, hey, I heard that Lincoln Public Schools is working on unified music. We're just starting. How can you help? How amazing is that? Connecticut is looking at Lincoln Public Schools and saying, we know you're doing this. How can you help us? How awesome. So in our teacher planning, what are some of the things that they are looking for? Some of the things our teachers have asked for in collaborative partnerships are, how can we connect to maybe Debbie Greenblatt, right, at the Avoca Schoolhouse? How can we bring some of the folk music and the recorders and the fiddling? How do we bring that into our schools and partner with them at the Avoca Schoolhouse? How can we do more with Pangea, our steel drum group, or mariachi group? Can we get those groups into our buildings to come and perform for our own students, to show them the exciting things that we are doing with some of the multicultural opportunities in music? We want to help to create those collaborative partnerships vertically with our buildings from elementary to middle to high school, because not only is that an advocacy piece and a retention piece, but it also shares with students, you can do this with grit, right? You can perform at this level. When our high school kids or our all-city honors group come in and they get to play for kids, oh my gosh, I wish you could be there to hear them, because they're just like, wow, I wish I could do that, right? And there's so much excitement in their voice, and like, that is incredible. I want to play the baritone just like that. Or did you hear that sound when the men started singing? The kids just go, right? Because they are not used to hearing those mature, amazing voices. And they say, I want to be a part of that. I want to belong to that group. So we are working as a part of what teachers are asking for to figure out how can we create more of that vertical alignment and get more of our students performing for students as well. So when people ask, where are we going? We're looking at a new beginning for Lincoln Public Schools. We are looking at how we can use equity to support our students in areas of collaborative partnerships, access, right? All the things that I have shared today. It's a long road. It's not going to be something we do in a year or two. We're looking at long-term planning for lasting effects and benefits for our students under the lens of equity. Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to hearing some of your questions, but it has really been a pleasure getting to share with you what we're doing in Lincoln Public Schools and where we're hoping we get to go. So, sorry, go ahead. Thank you. What questions can I answer for you? Or any I wonder? Tell me more.
I wonder what the teachers in our group could do to support LPS in some of these endeavors.
I am so excited that you said, what can we do in our group to help? Because I am really hoping that with my presentation today, we can start some collaborative partnership for how we might be able to pair you up. I know that you guys offer a tremendous opportunity for some families with free and reduced lunch status that otherwise would not be able to afford lessons, right? I would love to utilize that more and put those opportunities out there. Now, at Lincoln Public Schools, we are limited to what we can advertise, but we can say we have this slew of opportunities and options that are available and include all of the amazing musicians and educators in this room, right? To help support that and make those opportunities available. We also are partnering with CLC to see how we can get our community centers to help pay for the instructors to come in and do that as a part of an after-school program. That's still a little bit new for me, but that's also an avenue that I'm exploring. I know that Tri-M came and did that on a volunteer basis, but I also know that there is funding to pay for people to come in and to provide that service to students as an extension of the community learning centers in our buildings. So that is something that's in my mind that is a to be determined, but the wheels are in progress for making that happen. So.
At this time, I'm the chair of the LMTA Music Outreach Program, and I'm wondering, you can say we can make this happen and pay the teachers. How about the administration? Is there funding or do you have any ideas of how to do the administration of this, to do the day-to-day work that?
Administration from which level? Tell me more.
The Music Outreach Program, it serves K through 12, and we provide lessons to free and reduced students. But there's a lot of administrative work, accepting the applications, keeping all the preparing the payroll behind the scenes, doing the payroll, keeping all the records that you need to do. Is there staff to do that?
Thank you for clarifying that for me. I appreciated that. So, as I mentioned, this is still a very new idea, but I do have some ideas on, as we are building this partnership and looking at how we can work and collaborate together to bring opportunities to students, how we can fund that. I have some ideas. I can't share them widely and vastly yet, but as a part of our planning process and our partnership, that would be something we would absolutely need to consider, whether that be on a stipend basis or hourly, or how we would look at that and how we would fund that. As we are making our plans and moving forward for something that is sustainable, that's absolutely something that has to be considered, because the whole system does not work if we don't have every member of the team.
And the funding may not even be the big issue here. The big issue is who does the work, who accepts the applications, who keeps the records, who does the computer work and all the staffing.
Who writes the grants? Another valid question. It depends on how we go about a partnership. If we're going through the community learning centers, there are things that the CLC programs take care of as a part of an extension of their program. Now, if we don't go through the community learning centers, then we would be looking at how between our two organizations, who we can have as point people and how we would look at getting some of those folks paid. We also do have folks that help us with grant writing at the district office through federal programs or through the Lincoln Foundation. Those are other opportunities that we can look at for funding as well. But with this still being just a seed, I don't have all the answers for that yet. But as we develop a partnership and figure out how we can help serve our students, that would absolutely be an essential component that we would have to consider. Thank you. It has been an absolute pleasure getting to share with you about what things are looking like in Lincoln Public Schools. And I'm really excited to stay for your business meeting and hear more about the workings that you are doing. Thank you.